which less than 2% are black. Denmark was the seventh largest trading nation during the transatlantic slave trade, trading over 100,000 enslaved Africans to their three colonial territories in the Caribbean, the islands of St. Croix, St. John, and St. Thomas. In 1917, Denmark sold the islands to the United States and they were named the US Virgin Islands. Well-known Afro-Danish people include Hans Jonathan, an enslaved man who took his Danish enslavers to court and subsequently fled to Iceland. Victor Cornelius and Alberta Roberts were children from St. Croix who were transported to Denmark in 1905 to participate in a colonial exhibition. In 1878, Mary Thomas was the leader of the largest labour revolt in Danish colonial history. In 2018, Denmark unveiled a statue in her honour called I Am Queen Mary, the first statue in the country to commemorate a black woman.
Hey, welcome to the RHD show, the higher discussion. I'm your host, Vic. You are watching us. We're watching you. We're glad you can join. We are here for this tonight. We got some really critical information, some awareness so you can move fearless. As per usual, we got Brother Mozzie riding with us. You know what I'm saying? You know, he got it cocked and locked and loaded, ready to participate and ready to get it straight with us on the show. Peace, Brother Mozzie. How you doing? Unmute your mic, bro.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather, but I'm good, man. Ready to roll.
Sorry to hear that.
You know, it happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Though these Rochester temperatures are going nuts right now. 1 minute is 30 degrees, another minute is 17 below zero. It's nuts.
Yeah, man. I think mine was probably related to, the event I was at all weekend. Somebody out there was had something floating in there.
Yeah, man. Low bug creep up in you, man. So we got a lot to cover tonight, a lot to go through. I don't think we're gonna get to acute radiation syndrome. We'll probably jump into that on Monday because that's really important. I want to spend some time on it. I got a whole thing locked and loaded, ready to roll out for that. But we're gonna get into some things that just happened. We're gonna get into an update on Trump, and we're gonna get into these Cali wildfires, man, because it's important. We got family out there in Cali that we got to make sure, loved ones that we got to make sure are okay, and we got to give them that information, man, so they can move wisely out there. So, that was our elders and ancestors' blueprint, bro. Hans Jonathan, Queen Mary Ann, they getting busy out there in Denmark. There's reasons for that. We'll get into that a little bit later. Your man Trump is tripping over Denmark. You know what I mean? So I thought I'd feature that because we'd get into Trump in Denmark and people at home would ask, what in the world that got to do with us? So I just showed how, you know what I mean? Along with others that live there, brothers and sisters that go unnamed and they won't be forgotten or unmentioned here. What's your thought on Brother Hans Jonathan, the war hero that freed himself from slavery, had to go to court, had to petition for his own freedom, wound up running away to Iceland to live, love, and have liberty and do his own thing? Your thoughts?
It was an awesome thing, man. I mean, you think about it, given the time frame. And another person who did that is the one we like to call Uncle Tom.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah Henson.
Yes, sir.
Oh no, not Jeremiah. Yeah, I think it was Jeremiah Henson. He he escaped the slavery, went to Canada, and there's some good things up there, and every now and then we'll come back across the border. And what it shows is that we have a long history of struggle and people who put their lives on the line to get a level of humanity and to be free.
Right.
And, if we had some people who were, we had a critical mass of people that were like that today, I think some of our issues that we would have currently would be gone.
I agree totally, because you're getting all of the Trump fear porn running around, and folks didn't have half the resources, half the know-how, half the access to the things that they need for their freedom, justice, and liberation. So that was that one, man. Let's get into our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser for a Brand New You. And for that, we're going to write to Brother Maccabee, and he's going to tell us about a peculiar pepper that might help us with our health. Check it out.
On Monday, alligator pepper out of West Africa, In the family of ginger, alligator pepper out of West Africa, Follow me finger. See it ya, I saw it favor. Use it to give the food flavor. Tastes nice, something to savor. Grind it with a pestle and mortar. It's in Guinea, it's in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia. Natural, not manufacture. This one's from Nigeria. Lots of health benefit. Yeah. Fight against bad bacteria. Fibroids treat malaria. Constipation, nausea, blood sugar, blood pressure, regulator, gastrointestinal disorder, anti-inflammatory things in ya. Also a natural Viagra. Whole heap of things in this little fella. In Africa, it's a very good seller. Diuretic, worm expeller. Some say a negativity repeller. The Igbo use it with the cola. They say a prayer to the creator. And give thanks to the ancestors. Some powerful things are in our nature. A medical Monday. Yes, sire.
Yeah, it's not Monday, but that advice is good nonetheless. Shout out to Brother Maccabee. Go on his YouTube channel, give him a subscribe, give him a like, share a lot of his videos. He's giving us that information that we need for speed, just in case this inflation thing gets out of hand, and just in case, like Luigi Mangione, you're dealing with some folks who don't want to give you your insurance and don't want to pay. I heard this story, bro, of this doctor that got pulled away from active surgery in the middle of a surgery, let the patient die simply because the insurance company wouldn't cover the rest of the surgery.
Well,
out of control, bro. Out of control.
That's where it's headed if we, things continue to go down this path, because one of the things that that a lot of Republicans have wanted to do in America is make smaller government and privatize a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so what will happen is it's all about the mighty dollar. After that, it's really about the dollar then. And if I'm working and I get the call to say yes to that, and then I get this flash up on my screen, nope, we gotta make our numbers look good for the quarter. Sorry, can't do it.
Wow. It all boils down to that. And to think in 1968, which really wasn't that long ago, they had to have federal troops to allow our people, to be treated in emergency rooms. Out of control. Out of control. So let's keep it moving, man. Y'all let us know how y'all feel about Hans Jonathan and Queen Mary Ann. Y'all let us know what y'all think about Maccabee and the alligator pepper. That's another pepper. We told you about cayenne pepper. Now we're telling you about alligator pepper. Get them peppers in your life. It might save you an emergency room visit. For sure, for sure. All right, man, we moving on. We're going to stay on AAT report, though, because we want to get into this, because I got a little cousin who is involved with this, and he's a bright young man. He's a savant when it comes to navigation and memory and landmarks, but everybody doesn't appreciate him because he's on the severe side of the spectrum. I used to teach this population. I used to, and I used to advocate for this population. So I heard this story. Commissioner calls for calm room review for autism kids. So the name of the story is a lot of autism kids around the country are getting abused in what they call calm rooms. So, like when people who have autism, they stem out and they rock, or they might even get real excited about a particular stimulus that's coming in their environment, and they can't control themselves. Well, they take them out of the general population or the mainstream classes. They put them in what they call a calming room. But in this calming room, it's known that they're getting abused. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull this video up. Shout out to African Diaspora Network. They covered this because a lot of our folks are are in this situation. They need that advocacy. They need that attention. Let's check it out.
Footage obtained has revealed disturbing abuse of autistic children inside the school's so-called calming rooms. The footage shows children, many of whom are nonverbal, being shoved into padded rooms, thrown to the floor, and restrained by the neck and actually left alone in their own vomit.
Wow. That's the end of it right there. Please make sure if you got loved ones that are autistic or having some sort of disability challenges in there, whether they're higher cognitively function or they don't have a higher cognitive function, watch who you're giving their care to, watch who you hire for those dollars so that they get the care that they need. Make sure you're monitoring them. Make sure you're listening to your kids. If they're telling you something's going on, please follow up and ask what's going on. I have a cousin, my cousin Christian, goes through this, and he's grown at this point. He's about 20, 21 years old at this point. But nonetheless, I know his population goes through this in a really, really crazy way because they're just not trained well enough to deal with those populations.
And most people get the job.
Go ahead, bro.
Most people work there because they need a job.
Yes.
You know, there's people who go into the field because they genuinely care and that's what they want to do. And then there's a lot of people who they go because it's a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Guaranteed hours, guaranteed bennies.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Think about it. Think about, you go into the ice capades and then you see somebody who working with kids like that at the ice capades. So now you're talking about all the things you can do working with those kids that you couldn't do on your own. So it's an enticing thing to get involved in certain ways.
But it's a relationship based job, even more than being an authoritarian teacher in a classroom doing a lesson plan and aim and objective and lesson plans every day like I do. It's more of a relationship based because I've done that working at Wantagh High School in Long Island for a number of years. Shout out to the entire disabilities department at Wantagh School District, Kevin Chrisman, and all the students that I created that disability summer program for. Listen, man, it's a very much a relationship-oriented job. You got to care about what you're doing. You got to care about educating that population, understanding the various dynamics of the spectrum that each one of your kids are dealing with, and how to and also getting involved with the families. Because the families are going to tell you what makes that young person tick. Therefore, you have less interruptions, less stemming, less episodes of manic behavior, and you can, actually teach, and they can actually learn from you in a calm environment and proceed on. You got anything else on this, bro?
No, that's it.
Okay, so yes, sir. So that was our AAT report, man. Healthy, wealthier, wiser for a brand new you on the Real HD Show. Please comment on that section. Timestamp it. Let us know how you feel. We are moving on. All right, man, we're going to get into a Lit City report real quick. We are flying through this thing. The Lit City report is the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round. And we got a couple of things to talk about. I'm glad you came through, bro. So we can show one of your vids, man, because you loaded me up this week, man, with the vids. So which ones do you think you want to share with the people?
I don't know what I sent, man.
That's all right, bro. That's all right, man. So I'm going to go to the Real HD chat page on Facebook. Please join that. If you want to find out the latest and the greatest and you want to get into some arguments or you just want to share some information, great place to be, great place to share, love, live, learn, online, safe space, say your piece. So I'm trying to find Brother Mozzie's offering on the channel. But until that loads up, what we're going to do is we are going to jump into this piece right here about about Experian being sued over bogus investigations. Did you hear about that part, bro?
I know that they have some lawsuits, but what happens a lot of times is it's just the way the credit game is working, man. And since everything's going to be based on your credit, we got to make sure that we're on top of this stuff.
So I applaud that. Please sue the crap out of them every chance you get. Because we know we got people who have you get tricked into these financial products under threat, duress, coercion, other sort of tactics that make you feel like you need these planned obsolescent financial products. And then when you can't make the payments and you can't match up to the expectations of the financial arrangements you made, now you're in a hole. Several thousand people had went through the credit system to try to get their credit edited and restructured and made whole, and they were given a runaround. Let's hear about it. Real HD Show. Here we go.
To use this verbiage and attach the letter to any dispute letters that are going to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Do not, and I repeat, do not use their online portal, because you will, in fact, waive all of your rights to sue Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion when you use their portal. So we want to do this with snail mail. We want to send a physical letter to them so they can't use any nonsense. And if you need to, you can sue them later on. This letter is very simple. Let's put it up on the screen so everyone can see it. Dear Ho Ass Experian, of course I had to throw it in there. Due to the recent lawsuit filed against Experian in January 7th, I insist you conduct an investigation as you are required by the FCRA law. I will explicitly say, do not accept the findings of the furnishers who do not provide thorough results of their investigation. Make sure to click on the related video button down there, and I'm gonna give you a full breakdown on exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, so there you have it. This gentleman was telling you about how you can get your claim through and not to get trapped up. There's a really good article on this. It comes from, let me see. So, Experian. Okay. It comes from Consumer Attorneys PLC, how to sue Experian for ignored credit report dispute. Please use that to your advantage so that you can get these bogus things off your report. And we will have, I want to have at some point during the year, a credit expert to come on and let us know in the era of the CBDC how old credit will be affected in the new era. I'm working on that, so hopefully we can get that done on the show. Anything on this, bro?
Another way to get through that is go through the FCRA website.
Fire.
You can lodge a complaint through that, and 9 times out of 10 that'll also get it removed. And the first thing you need to know that I've learned over the years is if you have some debt, I mean, honestly, that you don't want to pay because of circumstance, situations, or you just flat out don't want to pay it, don't respond to it. Because once you respond to it, that means it's yours.
Hey, bro, I was looking at Sanford Son last night, right? Sanford told Lamont, leave that bill in the mailbox.
There you go. Leave it in the mailbox.
That bill in the mailbox.
So, you want to do that. And then, you want to challenge it.
Yeah.
And the main thing that people are using nowadays is they're asking for people to verify the debt. And 9 times out of 10, what ends up happening is the company who the original debt is with, they sold it to somebody else. Once it's been sold, they got to remove it.
Yes, absolutely. And also, if you solicit the person, let's say you get a new letter from a new creditor, you call them, now you're locked in with the new creditor. you know. And also, one last thing you could do is look for your statute of limitations in your state and fight it along those lines as well.
Well, the limitations, I think, is 6-7 years, and you really don't want to be waiting that long. So, you know, the best thing to do is come up with a strategy. There's enough information online that is legit that you could, you know, affect these type of things that are bother, you know, that are having some negative consequences for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if y'all want to jump on the show, please, here's the link below. StreamYard.com, 365 NCZD6JA. Peace, brother Luck. If you want to come on up, the water's fine. You know what I mean? We only rock until 9. So we trying to get all this in. I'm trying to hold true to my, you know, brethren who gave me a really dope consultation on the show, keeping it to an hour, chopping it down into clips, throwing the octopus tentacles out there in the ethos so we can make this show more prosperous. All right, man. So we moving. So I want to get into a clip that I saw online, and it has everything to do with all of the recent effery that's going on with the Trump side of the game. And it goes back to George Carlin. Everybody loves to, you know, talk about how the Simpsons predicted it, but he really predicted it. So this is a little clip that was put together. Shout out to Young Turks about George Carlin and some of his comedy stylings and how he kind of predicted the place and space that we're in as a country. And I hope some of this helps calm some nerves and moves us in the right direction. It's always 360 degrees. Check this out.
Solemnly swear. One of these two men will again take the oath of office, but in the lead-up, Americans are grimacing at the fact this is the best each party could bring forth.
This Biden-Trump fatigue is very real, and it's only going to get worse as the year goes on.
But it's this blast from the past that voters are wishing had stayed out of sight, saying it highlights how neither party speaks to a majority of the country.
It goes without saying, plenty of Americans do not want either of these men to be president, let alone be their party's respective nominee or even in the running to be a candidate, as comedian George Carlin explains.
Let me say one thing about choice. There is no real choice. They say freedom of choice. You're given an illusion of choice. Americans are meant to feel free by the exercise of meaningless choices. You don't have, you know what the choices are in this country? Paper or plastic, aisle or window, smoking or non-smoking. Those are your real choices.
And, as he put in previous specials, the idea of choice to Americans is all an illusion.
So if somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself. Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Speaking of Elon Musk.
Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African American? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling.
Carlin rips many as he spoke at the National Press Club.
We did the largest tax cuts in history.
In unearthed video, Donald Trump in Palm Beach, Florida, is seen giving a speech to potential donors, which unjustifiably speaks to how our politicians do not serve our own interests, but rather theirs. the ultra wealthy.
All it is now is the search for dollars and the search for the things that dollars buy, and there's very little of a core humanity left. It happens. It works on the individual level and on the small scale. On the large scale, it's all a human comedy. It's all a joke, and I try to treat it as that. I see this culture as circling the drain in ever faster and tighter circles, and I just observe it and enjoy observing. I root for that demise of this culture. I root for the demise of this species. It just happens to be my hobby to kind of root for all this stuff to go away and give another species a chance, perhaps. I root.
Give another species a chance.
Yeah. Like Michael Bradley said in his book, there's only one problem with the world, and that's the white man.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
This is written by a white anthropologist.
Right.
This isn't me making this up.
Right. Nah, Michael Bradley is the bomb. Go check him out. Go read some of his stuff. It's all verifiable. It's all, some people think he's certifiable, but it's all dope. Scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
And you should get involved. So George Carlin sounds like the nihilist that he is. And extremely, black-pilled, if you will. And exhibits a lot of that in his comedy. And I'm glad we still have those evidences around to make sense of it all when everything is going off the rails. So lastly, in the Lit City Report, we want to play this one clip that Brother Mozzie gave us in the show, and it's on the same level as the George Carlin clip. And we want to get into that right now on the Real HD show. Here we go.
Why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis? Freedom and freedom. It's not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer. With a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom. All right. And yet you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite?
Yeah, man.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, man.
We don't have a critical eye in America anymore.
No.
I remember our grandparents, for those of us, my grandfather was a learned man, but he always read the newspaper. My grandmother wasn't a learned woman, but she always read the newspaper. They always read magazines. They had a critical eye about the things that are going on in America. People here just don't seem to understand what the hell's going on.
Right. Right.
China has
at least not enough to address it, get it on a congressional or presidential slate for conversation in the right places and the right spaces at the right time. We're concerned about who's twerking with who,
right?
What good old boys is rallying where.
Right.
And it's all this mixed bag of nuts, man. You go.
Yeah. And we keep falling for the okie doke. The reality is there's certain things that we're confronted with. Yes, America doesn't make anything anymore. So how can America be great? How can we provide jobs to people when we don't do it? We don't produce anything to provide a job. And we give it to the country that we complain about the most, China. We even outsource some of our national security to China. We can't fight China. You know why we can't fight China? Because some of the weaponry that we use, parts are made in China. What kind of backwards ass shit is that? Not only that, China owns $800 billion of U.S. debt. And we're collecting taxes just to pay the interest. We haven't begun to start paying back the principal. Japan owns another 500 billion. America's owned, man. Somebody that debt that we have, that 20 some odd trillion dollars in debt, somebody owns that. And whoever owns most of this country.
Ooh.
And these are things that people they just don't seem to get it. Because one reason why, because of that psychopathic racial personality, they're always focused on black people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know when I ride down the hood and every store in Rochester is Yemenis, how is it they're able to maintain a store? But we had brothers and sisters back in the day that had these stores and couldn't maintain them.
Right.
They weren't that jacked up.
Let's talk about it. Where the bodegas at? How'd that dry up overnight?
Yeah. And then you look at, you're hearing that the Chinese own something like, I don't know the number, but they own land all over the U.S. and all the farmland they own is in their military installations. Huh? Who's on our Chinese people on that land? Because you'll let them come freely. Here it is. You hear a people that you say that you don't want taking over your country, but yet you let them in the country with no problem.
40 years of letting them in the country if you count the consumable products.
Yeah. But yet you worried about black folks twerking in the hood, shooting up each other. The reality is people kill each other based on convenience. In other words, black kill black and white kill whites.
Proximity.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So, we in everything in this country that we build, there always has to be an exploitive nature to it. And that exploitive nature does not lend to trying to create a country that is there for anybody, let alone Billy Joe Jim Bob, who think this country belongs to him.
Yeah.
Factories in Mexico, factories in Canada. We don't even make 1 ounce of baby formula in this country no more. Yeah. And then people started falling off the rails because they forgot what breastfeeding was.
It's interesting that those Asian countries went and the Asian military, I'm not sure which country it was, whether it was Japan or China, I believe it's China, set up shop right down there in the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Set up shop. Why aren't we at war with them down there right now?
Because why
we not at war with them, right? At home, why we not at war if we got foreign interests on our soil? What's the deal?
There you go. Because we know, those on the higher level know that they fucked up. Don't let them fool you. Donald may not know too much of nothing, but others know and realize that we screwed up.
Yeah.
Donald too into Donald to really know anything. He just hears stuff and he just does stuff. Right. But there's those who are in the upper echelons of the know are saying we screwed up and they don't know how to get out of it. So let me get mine. And that's the general attitude. Everybody's just trying to get theirs.
Wow. Got to reverse that. So that was a Lit City report, man. The wild, the wacky, the wonderful. Hopefully it wasn't too morbid. Hopefully you learned something and we can be more prosperous in the future. Here we go. Can't play too much of that. They trying to hit your bro. They trying to hit your bro with the copyright strikes and all that. So we'll give you a little juice. All right, man. So we moving on. We are moving on. We staying strong, but we moving on. We getting into a Power to the People news portion of the show. Power to the People news. We're right there at 40 after the hour. This will probably be the last thing that we get into. I was gonna get into the Donald and all of the stuff that he's doing with the judge, and the judge made him revoke his order, and they're pulling it back and halting. And I told you guys that Donald Trump is not all powerful. I told you that. Now, if our people at home will hold their own nuts and challenge the status quo, the way that them federal judges did, we might not be half bad off as a people, man. But what I want to get into is what we came here for tonight, which is this right here. Cali wildfire, insurance games, something strange for a piece of change. So everybody heard, and of course, have been witness to how Cali is on fire right now. And there's another particular idiom going around saying that one of the things in Eaton, remember the Eaton cat, the Eaton sheriff came on and talked about how kind of had a Freudian slip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now one of the things is there might have been a down power line that was being neglected. And now perhaps that was one of the reasons that
the fire started.
That the fire started. And then, of course, Pacific winds, they pushed the fire into the brush, and then woof, away we go. But go ahead, bro.
That explains one of them. What about the other three that were burning at the same time?
Right. that part. So now we're going to get all of the beatboxing and the splaining.
Hustling backwards, man. But you know what happens is American people are lazy, man. Intellectually lazy. Yes. You're not going to try and spend a little extra time to really try to understand what's going on. If it ain't on YouTube to give us the 10-minute version, if it ain't on CNN, whatever they give us, we're just going to roll with it.
Wow.
Nobody reads independent newspapers anymore of the ones that are left. So, we just keep going on and stick our head in the sand and act like everything's good.
Well, I'll give you a couple. You could read alternate.org. You can read Substack. That has some really dope stuff. And you can read Real News Network. That's a really dope one. There's several out there, man. These $1,000 machines that we got. Just keyword. This is like sites like Real News Network, sites like alternate.org, sites like, BBC, Al Jazeera, stuff like that. And a bunch of it will come up and you'll get a different POV, a different evidence-based claim for the news that you're revolving around. But what I wanted to get to is this right here. Let's see, where is that at? The Cali wildfire piece. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to get into an article about insurance. Now, Eddie Griffin, he talked about how all of the rich folks got their warning ahead of time. And how is that? How do you get a warning ahead of time? Like Brother Mozzie just talked about, one fire is supposed to be because of a down power line. But how does that basically explain all the rest of the fires going on? And how did the rich of it all in those California hills get their warning ahead of time so they could get out of there with their head held high, right? So here we go. We got this one right here. I want to read it a little bit, then we'll chop it up about it on the Real HD show. How big insurance investment in fossil fuels came back to bite it. The Pacific Palisades fire started in the city of Los Angeles, on and on and on. So it says within a week, let me see if I can make this bigger on the screen. I don't know if you can see this at home bigger. Okay, so it says within a week, the sheer devastation of the Los Angeles wildfires has pushed the four fundamental questions about the impact of the climate crisis that have been largely avoided by lawmakers, influencers, etc. Among them, was the future insurance when people's homes were increasingly located in areas of climate risk, whether wildfires, hurricanes, flooding, etc. It says those have been bedeviled policymakers in California, where insurance giants like State Farm, Farmers, Allstate announced last year that they were no longer writing policies in the state due to the surge of wildfires alone. Now, why does that happen? Why is that going on? Why is that even a thing, right? One would ask, right? It says insurers have been aware of the risk of climate change, rising premiums, increasing losses. In 1973, the German insurance firm Munich Re published a brochure on flooding that it was the first use of the term climate change in the industry, warning of the growing risk of temperatures and increased carbon dioxide in the air. 40 years later, the French insurance giant AXA said it would be impossible to ensure a world that is 40 degrees Celsius or warmer. Nevertheless, insurance companies have become the biggest financiers of fossil fuels. I'm going to say it again. Insurance companies have become the biggest financiers of fossil fuels, which are the primary cause of climate change. The extraction and burning of oil, gas, and coal are responsible for 75% of greenhouse emissions and nearly 90% of carbon dioxide emissions. Fossil fuel companies make up 4.4% of the investment portfolio in the insurance industry. In 2023, 3.8% 9 years earlier. Two insurance giants, Berkshire Hathaway and State Farm, increased their fossil fuel positions by around 200 billion at that point. However, more than half a century, 238 property and casualty insurers recently surveyed by the Wall Street Journal have reduced their investment into oil, coal, gas over the past decade. But while insurers around the world have restricted their coverage to fossil fuel projects, U.S. companies continue to write the policies for conventional oil and gas projects. Wow, bro. 200 billion.
A lot of loot, man. That's a lot of loot.
200 billion, bro.
That's a lot of freaking money, man.
So if that ain't a Hegelian dialectic, I don't know what is, bro. I'm a create the problem.
Mm-hmm. No, and I got a $200 billion solution.
Right. Like, come on, man. They eating good, bro. They eating good. And don't think they ain't sharing them secrets with the dudes and the homeowners in the Hollywood Hills so they could all eat in one facet or another and participate in whatever land grab is about to happen in Southern California. Your thoughts, bro?
It's a crazy world out here, man.
Yeah.
And there's that show from the 60s or 70s. It's a mad, 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 mad world. And we need to, in that show, they were trying to find the treasure. And when they got to the spot, they kept running around because nobody was focused. And nobody bothered to really listen or pay attention. And the whole time, the W was the four trees that were leaning to make the W. And the one person who took their time to kind of, observe what's going on was the one to have found it. But what ended up happening was he tried to take it all for himself. He got greedy. So two things. We need to take time out to, smell the coffee, so to speak. Look at some of this stuff. Take some time and read and understand what's going on. You ain't got to read novels. There's articles out there that you can read that get straight to the point. And two, don't be selfish. And I think for us, we can overcome our issues. And we can overcome some of the craziness that's about to go down in this country.
So a couple of questions come to mind, man. And Brother Luck, if you on with us, please contribute. And anybody else that's on with us right now on any of our channels, please contribute. Leave it in a comment. What in the world of the UN Sustainable Development Goals is going on, man? Is that a whole crock, man?
U.S. isn't doing anything related to sustainability because it can't. It doesn't.
No, I'm just saying they're crying that that's what they're doing, and they're crying that that's what the world needs, and they're crying that that's what the levels of control and lawmaking and standardizing and the WEF of it all is all about. But yet you're letting these billion-dollar companies make billions of dollars off of things that are going to be no good for the environment years later.
That's that selfishness because they think what happens when you make that kind of money that some of these folks are making, man, and some of them don't have that kind of money, but they seem to have that kind of influence.
Yes, sir.
You start to think that you're a little, that you bigger than you really are. And when you think like that, you think along the lines of selfishness. They become very selfish and self-centered.
Yeah, man. So I want everybody at home, and then now that you think about natural disasters happening in Florida, the floods happening in the tornadoes and all of that happening, and hurricanes happening in the Carolinas, and now we got what's happening. How much meddling by big global 2000 companies are the reasoning and the causality for these disasters going on?
Yeah, I mean, is it really happenstance, or is these planned? Everything is planned.
Yeah, pandemic, man. So if y'all want to go ahead and finish reading the article, it's really good. I got it out of the there's another dope alternate site, Who What Why, non-for-profit reader supported news organization. Who What Why. Go check them out online. Give them a subscribe and a like and all the rest of it. And please check out I didn't have a chance to do it tonight, but check out 20 Ways to Deal with Tyranny by Timothy Snyder on Substack. That's another one too. So we're not jumping out the window over anything these bums are doing, because we know how to fight it. And you can get some confidence on how to fight it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And lastly, about this piece with the fires, man, and all the rest of it. Is this a big front? Is this a big cover for, the land grabs of it all?
Well, I think one of the wrong things that you had was most of those people in a lot of those areas, like the Pacific Palisades, although their homes are artificially inflated to $13, $14 million,
right?
Most of them didn't even make that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
The average combined income in that region was about $200,000. I mean, they did okay.
So they're house poor.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was a lot of these folks, these houses were passed down to them.
Yes, inherited. Yep.
So they got the houses free and clear, or some of them, got the houses years ago when it didn't cost them anything. Maybe cost them $100,000, $200,000, and now because of the way real estate is, people's homes are being artificially inflated up through the roof. Now they're sitting on $15 million. That there's no way else they could have ever gotten that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Swimming
in them Cali taxes.
And the funny thing is, they weren't paying their taxes anyway. A lot of people who lived in that area, and the Palisades in particular, didn't pay their taxes, and they put an ordinance in so that their taxes never go up. But yet they want the city to get out there and cut back brush and everything else. And that's the that's the stranger part about it all. You don't want government services, but you want the government to go out and do something.
Mm.
I want you to do something, but I don't want to make sure that you're able to do it. I don't get it. You don't want to pay your taxes, but then you're mad because they don't come out there and cut back the brush. They don't have anybody to work because they can't pay them because you don't want to pay your taxes.
Right. They're having a big palm tree problem in Cali also.
Yeah.
Because those palm trees are dying, but they don't want them to fall and create all kind of crazy, civic disasters with with how large they are. Yeah.
So, that's just kind of how it is, man. We got to realize that, America's a strange brew.
Yes, sir. Well, guess what, man? We are just about ready to get up out of here. So Brother Mozzie could go get some tea and some eucalyptus and fortify and get it all together. And I'm going to go get it all together. And we want you guys to get it all together. Please go to the top of the show, like, share, subscribe, comment, love, timestamp it, turn on all your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD show, you could tap in and you too can have a higher discussion. So I'm going to say peace, and we'll see y'all on Monday. Y'all walk with power. Y'all be blessed.
Later.